Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to look at a band that I am familiar with in a way. Now we're going to be listening to the new track by Ministry. Now I have heard Ministry's music, but the last time I listened to Ministry was when they released Psalm 69, and that was back in 1992. I've not actually listened to them since then. Well, tell a lie, I did listen to one of their albums after Psalm 69, but I didn't like it very much, so I never really sort of went back and listened to them again. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Dark Side of the Spoon, I think it was. But anyway, it's been a very, very long time since I've actually listened to any Ministry. So, you know, the memory I have of Ministry is things like Just One Fix, Jesus Built My Hot Rod, that sort of thing. So I've not actually heard any of their music in a very, very long time. So anyway, I did a little bit of digging on information for Ministry for anybody who might not know who the band are. To be honest, I didn't know that much information about the band since, you know, I only really listened to them back in 1992 when I was about 12 years old. So Ministry is an American industrial metal band founded in Chicago, Illinois in 1981 by producer, singer and instrumentalist Al Jourgensen, who goes by the name of Uncle Al now, I believe. Originally a synth-pop outfit, Ministry evolved into one of the pioneers of industrial metal in the late 1980s. The band's lineup has changed very frequently, leaving Jourgensen as the only original member left in the band. Ministry attained commercial success in the late 1980s and early 1990s with 3 of their studio albums, The Land of Rape and Honey, The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, and Psalm 69. The first 2 albums were certified gold, while Psalm 69 was certified platinum. Psalm 69 was then followed by Filth Pig, which was quite the stylistic departure for the band, and earned Ministry its highest charting position on the Billboard 200 at number 19, although it was met with mixed reception by critics and marked the beginning of the band's commercial decline. The lackluster response to the next album, Dark Side of the Spoon, resulted in Warner Brothers actually dropping Ministry from their label, and the group entered an extended hiatus in early 2000s when Al Jourgensen entered rehab for years of substance abuse. So there you go. That would be why I didn't particularly enjoy Dark Side of the Spoon. You know, they had a drastic change in style. And yeah, when I heard Dark Side of the Spoon, I didn't like it at all. Anyway. Following Jourgensen's recovery, Ministry resurfaced in 2003 with Animosity Insomnia. That's a hell of a mouthful. Which turned out to be their last album with Paul Barker, who left the band early the next year after nearly 2 decades as an official member of the band. Ministry then returned to their thrash industrial style of Psalm 69 and released 3 albums critical of then President of the United States, George W. Bush. Dubbed the Bush Trilogy, The Houses of Mole, Rio Grande Blood, and The Last Sucker. These albums effectively revitalized the band's commercial viability. There was a hell of a lot more information, but, you know, there was way too much to cover here. So, today we're looking at the latest track that Ministry released. It's a track called Disinformation. And I think we can all guess what that's going to be about, considering, you know, they released a whole trilogy of albums being critical of George Bush, and the fact that I don't even need to actually read the lyrics to see what the first line of the song is, which is fake news. Can we guess what this song's about? Anyway, so like I said, I've not listened to Ministry since Psalm 69 or since Dark Side of the Spoon, which was... even then, that's a good 22 years ago, so it's been a long time. I do have lyrics here, and yeah, we'll jump into this track and see what we've got. So, Disinformation by Ministry. Let's have a look.
As misinformation and so-called fake news continues to be rapidly distributed on the internet, our reality has become increasingly shaped by false information. Fake news.
False and fake. Fake news.
disinformation is not to freak out, but to get your news from reliable sources and think critically about everything that you hear. Think critically about everything that you hear.
An infodemic. An infodemic. Fake news. False and fake. Fake news. False and fake.
There you go. Disinformation by Ministry. And I really enjoyed that. That musically, it reminded very much of Just One Fix, and when Just One Fix came out, I was addicted to that song. Vocal style is slightly different from what I remember, but like I said, it has been a good 20 odd years since I last listened to Ministry. So this has got us. There's elements of it that remind me of Ministry back then, but for the main part, it's slightly different and has a sort of Rob Zombie vibe going onto it. And this is, Rob Zombie or White Zombie at the time and Ministry were, I think they were roughly about the same time. So, it was that sort of era. But I like it. I thought it was really, really good. I need to go back and listen to sort of older Ministry, like between Dark Side of the Spoon and now, to sort of catch up with the band. Because when Psalm 69 came out, I absolutely loved that album. I listened to that album so much, and I still actually quote some lines from that album today. I still use some of the lines from that album in conversations. But as you can obviously tell, the subject of this video, again, it's talking about corrupt governments, just spouting their bull, trying to convince you of all their lies. And comedically enough, a vast majority of the imagery used within the video was, surprise, surprise, Fox News and all of their little meat puppets that like to spread all their lies, bull, and misinformation, and it included some certain guest appearances by some certain former president who you can't trust as far as you could throw uphill against a strong wind. So yeah, it's very obvious what the song's about, and I actually liked a little bit of imagery within the video as well, where he kept getting given this sandwich made of plastic, and it's like he's being fed the same fake every day. And I like that. He's being fed the same fake rubbish day after day, and they expect him to eat it and swallow it up, and it's just not digestible because it's so clearly fake. And he was covering things in there like all these absolute idiots who think that coronavirus is like a fake thing and it was just a government conspiracy. All these people that think masks are like a way for the government to control you, and all these people that think that the COVID injection is like a way for the government to track you. You've got a mobile phone in your pocket. Your face is glued to that every single day. That thing can track you anywhere. If you buy one of these, the government will have your face. Have you ever heard of a driving license or a passport? The government already has your face. They're trying to track me with a microchip. Excuse me, you're not that interesting. They don't give a about you. Get your conspiracy theories out of your head. You're not as important as you think you are. And, these are the people that are making the world intolerable. Because governments, world leaders, just feed out this utter bull, and they end up creating problems. Like the massively failed insurrection in the Capitol in America back in, what was it, January now? That was all caused from misinformation. This was all caused because the spoilt little baby who was present at the time couldn't handle the fact that he wasn't as loved as he thought he was. But there are still idiots in the world who still think he's somehow good for the country. How? The guy did nothing but lie from the moment he stepped foot in it. He never did anything. He took credit for everybody else's work, and all he did was spread lies and misinformation, and these gullible morons lapped it all up and still believe it to this day. And this is exactly what this song is about. I mean, the lyrics are very straightforward. It says, fake news, false and fake, fake, fake news. Fake news, false and fake, fake news, false and fake, fake news. The truth is hiding and the world is unstable. The situation never turns out well. It's still alive, but we're living in a fable. Ignore the truth, embrace a hell, welcome to hell. So the truth is hiding and the world is unstable. So, these world leaders, these former presidents, former prime ministers of the UK, even the current prime minister of the UK, are just feeding out lies, keeping the world unstable, keeping the people butting heads with each other to distract from what they're really doing. The world is still alive, but we're living in a fable. We're living in a story narrated by these elected officials that for some reason people think are worthy of running the country when they couldn't bloody organise a piss up in a brewery, you know. And saying ignore the truth, embrace the hell, because that's what the mass media like Fox News want us to do. They want us to ignore the actual facts and just believe the utter bullshit that they're spouting. You know, like currently in the UK, you know, there's this alleged fuel shortage. There's only a fuel shortage now because the government said there was a fuel shortage when there wasn't, and now people have gone out panic buying, and now there's no fuel for the people who need it. You know, ambulance crews, blood bank vehicles, police officers, fire, you know, engines. They haven't got the fuel now to go and respond to emergencies because all of these idiots have believed the bullshit that the governments are telling them and gone out and basically drained all the fuel out of the country. And because these idiots also voted for Brexit, they've made it even harder for us to get more. And now they're going, oh no, the government, you know, the government was right. No, they weren't. They were wrong. They said there was a fuel shortage, but there wasn't. And that's just to distract from what they're really doing, which is hiking taxes for the poor so the richer can get rich. Anyway, carries on. Fake news, false and fake, fake news, false and fake news. The new normal, a taste of what's ahead. A human race possibly can't survive. We can't go back because the past is dead, and we can't go forward because we're buried alive. Disinformation, a cancer that spreads. Disinformation, they control your head. Which is true, you know, all these sort of, you know, buck-toothed two brain-celled yokels who seem to believe everything that they hear on the news. You know, they will not hear anything to the contrary, even if you can provide irrefutable evidence, even if you shove proof right in their face. They will still argue until they are blue in the face that they are right because they heard it on the TV. We're all stuck in a dystopian bubble. We're all if science is a lie. You ask me, humanity's in trouble, so kiss your ass goodbye. There's a line there that I like. We're all if science is a lie. Because, you know, we've got all these people, these keyboard warriors on Facebook going, oh, don't trust the vaccine, they're using it for this, that and the other, the vaccine's used for tracking us, the vaccine's, you know, fake, you know, how can they have created a vaccine so quickly, it's obviously wrong, you know, I did my research and I have found proof that it's bad, you know. 3 months ago, you couldn't even figure out your child's math homework. Now, all of a sudden, you're an expert on diseases and, you know, germ propagation and stuff like that. You know, you couldn't do simple math problems, and now you're an expert on pharmaceuticals. It amazes me. It's like all these people go, oh, having a mask just makes me have trouble breathing. I can't breathe. You know, I go to a shop for half an hour with a mask on. I can't breathe. I need to take it off. Off. You know, medical surgeons wear masks for like sometimes 10 to 12 hours in a row whilst doing medical procedures. Obviously, they struggle breathing. You know, they can do that for 12 hours. You can't put it on for like 15 minutes whilst you go into a shop. You just don't want to do it because it might ruin your makeup. You don't want to do it because you want to be the big, clever, smart person. You're a idiot because you're believing all these bullshit artists in the media that go, you know, masks are as bad as the Holocaust. Who the hell says like that? You know, trying to make people wear masks is tantamount to the Nazi prisoner camps in Auschwitz. How the hell can you make comments like that? And there's these people who go, you're goddamn right. Now, excuse me while I go f*** my sister. You know. And this is what's creating this crappy world we're in at the moment, is the fact that people listen to this. Even when they're shown proof to the contrary, they will not listen. And it's just causing the destruction of the world we're living in. Like he says, disinformation, a cancer that spreads. Because it is. That's all it takes, is one moron to believe it, and then they're going to tell their mates and go, no, it's true, I know it's true. And then it spreads, and then it spreads, and then it spreads, and sooner or later, you know, you've got a massive chunk of the population believing utter lies just because somebody in office wants to make more money or because they want to seem like the cool uncle. So, you know, I like what they're saying, you know. It's a hot button topic at the moment, obviously, because there is a lot of disinformation floating around. But sooner or later, these people are going to be like held responsible for their actions. They're going to be made to answer for what they are doing, you know, for all the trouble they are causing. And I hope it comes soon, because if we carry on like this, you know, we're you know, we don't need any more like aggression and combative behaviours in the world. You know, there's already enough of that going around. We don't need to create more friction. But with these media outlets and these people in office spreading lies, spreading all this disinformation, and, you know, swearing it's the truth, and making these small-mind believe every single word of what they're saying, it's making the situation worse. They're not fixing anything. I went on a bit of a rant there, didn't I? But it's all true. You know, it's the way it is. But, you know, listening to this, you know, I haven't listened to Ministry in a long time. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get back to listening to them, honestly. But, you know, like, since I listened to Dark Side of the Spoon, you know, and I was very let down by what they'd turned into, I hadn't actually thought to go back and listen to them since. So, listening to this, like I said, elements of it, you know, remind me of Ministry back on Psalm 69. So, you know, when it said in the information I found, you know, they'd gone back to their old style when they did that, the Bush trilogy. You know, I might have to go back and, like, have a listen to those and see what it's like, because, you know, I got put off the band for quite a while, and like I said, it's been about 20 years since I listened to them, so I think it's about time I sort of stepped back in and listened to some more. But I liked it, you know, I like what they're talking about because it's a relevant subject, you know, it's actually got a meaning behind it, and this is a subject that many, many bands cover and have been covering for years. So, and, you know, I like the style of the music, I like the imagery that they used within the video, some of it was just bloody brilliant. So, yeah, I liked that. Been a while since I listened to Ministry, and starting to regret that. I need to go and catch up. But I don't know what else I'm going to sound. That's all. I'll leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so by all means. Drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can message me through Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would of course be a massive help to me, considering every piece of content I upload gets immediately demonetized the second it hits the internet, which is quite frustrating, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm using copyrighted material, so, you know, it's to be expected, but it's still kind of frustrating considering the amount of effort I put in, and, you know. But there is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion, jump to the front of the queue if you're so desiring of that. There's a limit on how frequently you can do that, but that's just to be fair to other people who want to make suggestions, like people who want to make suggestions through Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube comments. And if you do make a suggestion through those means, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, do know it could take me a while to get to your suggestion, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion, so it should get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get to it, unfortunately. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes, and one of the main focuses is hate crimes on people from the alternative community, and that's something that I believe in very, very strongly, something that I really feel needs more attention, because it's something that sort of gets brushed under the carpet and treated as not a big deal. It basically gets ignored, despite being a huge problem. And, you know, we're talking about people from the alternative community getting violently and brutally attacked. We're not just talking about insults being shouted across the street or, getting a shoulder bump as you walk down the road. We're talking about brutal, violent crimes that are landing people in hospital, sometimes with broken limbs and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries, just over something as trivial as their taste in music. And the thing is, this sort of thing, it's been going on for decades. It's been going on for a very, very long time. But it never gets spoken about. The last time it was spoken about was 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally assaulted by a group of 5 or 6 people and were beaten so severely they had their heads stamped on, and both of them ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he thankfully survived the attack. He was in a coma for about a week and a half, maybe a bit longer, but he thankfully survived. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 21 years old, and was beaten to death by a group of people purely for the fact that she listened to alternative music and wore alternative clothing. Now, when this happened, this was all over the news, as, rightfully it should have been. And over time, other news stories came in and it faded off into the distance. But in the 14 years since that happened, we have not heard anything similar, despite the fact there have been several hundred, if not several thousand, similar incidents in that time. The marked difference here is that in that time, in the 14 years since Sophie Lancaster's death, there hasn't been another death. And that's the biggest difference, and that's the reason why we've not heard anything, because nobody wants to talk about it unless there's a major tragedy. And that's sickening. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to lose their life before this gets spoken about. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before something gets done. Every single day we hear about sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, what have you. We hear these on a daily basis. From the most violent crimes where someone is murdered because of the colour of their skin, their sexual identity, or their religious beliefs, down to the most childish and petty of these crimes, where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. We hear these every single day. But as soon as it comes to somebody from the alternative community getting violently and brutally assaulted, not one word. A couple of years ago, a young woman in Glasgow, Scotland, again, 21-year-old woman, violently and brutally assaulted twice on the same night, again, by a group of 5 or 6 people. Beaten, kicked, punched, knocked to the ground, and brutally and violently beaten twice on the same night. This didn't make it into the papers. This wasn't all over the TV. This wasn't all over social media. Nothing was said. Now, if this had been religiously motivated, if this had been racially motivated, if this had been homophobically motivated, this would have been all over the news. We would have heard about it for days on end. But no, this is a young woman from the alternative community, violently, brutally assaulted by a group of people twice on the same night, not one word. If she had died as a result of the attack, then it would have been all over the news. And that's disgusting. Something needs to be done before what happened to Sophie Lancaster happens again. And if we carry on ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before that happens again. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want more people to start talking about this. They want to bring more attention to the fact that this is a much bigger problem than people think it is. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks because of the small-minded actions of a group of people who couldn't understand the fact that not everybody likes the same thing. Everybody is entitled to be their own person. Everybody's entitled to like whatever they like and be whoever they want to be, as long as it's within the confines of the law, obviously. No one should have to be scared to leave their house for fear of getting assaulted just because they have a different taste in music. But that's the world we live in at the moment, and if we don't do something about it, it is only a matter of time before what happened to Sophie Lancaster happens again. And it's not, Sophie Lancaster isn't the first person to lose their life over something so trivial. But we want to hope that she will be the last, because we don't want this to happen again. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there's a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, and find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, maybe even that one. You know, they've got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff going on over there. You know, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Humanity's in trouble. Time is your ass goodbye.